All right, a beautiful morning. Welcome to Women's Corner. Thank God it's Friday. Of course, this is the last episode for this week on Women's Corner. Today, you know what, I was discussing with someone earlier yesterday, and I was talking about the decline in marriage and of course in our today's society, and I was marveled at the little things that actually result to separation and divorce, even starting from relationship. You can imagine. So I thought about it. I said, today let's talk about marriage decline in Nigeria today. Day in, day out, the rate of divorce is getting high. Separated moms and dad, single mom, single dad, it's all over. And some persons don't even want to get married. They don't even probably want to even get to have a child. So it's all varieties of values in marriage and relationships. So we're here to talk about that today. And if you must know, we are going live on Facebook and on Twitter, so you can join us in Galaxy Television. Also, our YouTube channel is up and running. You can like, subscribe and share. We have Galaxy TV News, we have Galaxy TV, we also have Galaxy TV Comedy. If you want to laugh away your sorrows, you can always go there. Okay, before I introduce my guests for today on Friday, let's quickly go for a short break, and of course after that I'll introduce my guests and we'll be talking about marriage decline in Nigeria today. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So Patricia. Okay, I have an amazing people behind set, so yes. Anyways, you're welcome to the show. We have an amazing guest, like I said before. She's a certified marriage and family counselor from USA. She's an author. She's a trained teacher. She's the founder of Godly Adorable Sisters. I don't know why, I just love that name. And of course, she's a founder of Mothers of Nations Group. Hi, Telma Esang Utsalo. Can we have her on the screen if she's up and ready?
Hello.
Good morning, Telma. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How are you?
It's good to have you.
Yes, I'm here. It's my pleasure to be here once again.
Thank you for joining in. So as usual, we had this conversation we'll be having for like 2 days now about the total decline of marriage, and we had to break it down. And at that point I was like, okay, you need to come and talk about this, because sometimes, you know, from the perspective you said a lot of people are getting married day in, day out, but yes, the marriage do not last. And I was like, it's the same thing as having high rate of divorce, and the same thing as the marriage decline. It depends on how you see the cup, half full or half empty. So what are the main major reasons from what you have said? There was a video, there was a picture when it comes to responsibility of a man, which was one side of the reasons why a lot of people probably don't want to get married, or they don't even stay in marriage. Now I just want to ask, what are the few reasons, the core reasons that you know as a certified therapist, that a lot of couples, even in relationship and marriage, have caused the decline in marriage today, and even the value that marriage actually holds in the society?
Okay, thank you very much. Like we all know, the marriage is a long life affair. It's not something you just go in and go out. So a lot of people try to really sit back and think about it before they can step into marriage. And then some people are just naturally scared, you know, because they think when they go into marriage, it will deprive them of a lot of things. Some people really they just want to have their life, live their life, enjoy themselves, you know, outside the marriage picture. So that's why you see sometimes in the places like the States, outside there, you know, they just cohabit. They don't like to officially they don't like to make the relationship official, you know, so they can stay as long as possible as boyfriend, girlfriend. But when it comes to marriage, they just, as soon as they go in, they start having issues, you know. Sometimes most times I don't understand why that is, you know. So but overall, in a country like Nigeria, we can say that economic challenges, social norms, educational advancement for the girl. I had a situation where a guy is proposing to a girl and the girl is saying, no, you have to hold on, I want to go back to school, I want to do this, I want to do that. So that could also be a challenge why most people don't want to get married. Increased individualism. Everybody just wants to do something for themselves. It's just this me idea. So they don't like to bring somebody into their space. So that could also make somebody not to get married on time. We also have religious and ethnic differences. Sometimes you want to marry, and the person that you're in love with, the person you want to get married to, the parents are saying, no, you have to come from a place, you have to do this, you have to do that. So sometimes it makes somebody to hold back, to say, oh, I'm not getting married yet. The person I'm in love with they're not allowing me to marry the person. So that will also cause delay in marriage. And then we have increased divorce in our society, just like you mentioned at the beginning. When people see that people that have gotten married are not staying in the marriage, so they're scared. They're just trying to okay, most times you ask people and they say, I just want to know this person more. But amongst them, there's the number of years you stay in courtship, the number of years you friend this person doesn't really make you know the person. All right. So it's just a matter of being bold enough to take this decision. Just like they will say, maturity. All right. That whatever comes out of this marriage, we'll fight it together and we'll make progress together. So most people are scared because of the divorce that is in the society. A lot of people, maybe, let's say 2 out of 10 people will tell you they know people they attended their wedding and they are no more together. All right. So sometimes they are scared. And then emotional problems. Some people have been heartbroken before and they are scared of, going to that extent, getting married to somebody. They are scared of the future, right? They don't know what the future holds for them. And then some other people have trauma. Some of them probably were abused as children and some of them were abused as teenagers. So when it comes to the opposite sex, and then the lifelong journey, they are not certain. They are not certain. So it tends to make them hold back on that decision. And then some people are mentally stressed due to the economy. The economy of the nation. See, some guys lack jobs. They want to get married, but they don't have a job. Some of them have jobs, but they will tell you, I've not been able to take care of myself enough. So why would I bring somebody's daughter and then, I don't know how I'm going to cope, So you see a guy who is up to probably 45 and is still struggling because of economic instability. So those are some of the reasons that make people not to get married on time, Thank you.
I love what you said. Then you actually mentioned something that I got so interested in, and that's the cohabitation. You said in the Western world, a lot of people tend to cohabit, and some of them don't even want to get married. You find out that probably when 2 or 3 of your children is probably even married, that's when you start hearing my dad and mom wants to get married, and it kind of works for them. Now let's bring it to Nigeria. Do you think a lot of cohabitation is happening in Nigeria, and do you think it's probably one of the reasons why there is a marriage decline in Nigeria, or there is something else to it that we're not seeing?
Yes, I can say that there's a lot of cohabitation. It's speaking from the Christian perspective, we usually tell ladies, you don't move your things and stay with a guy who hasn't paid your bride price. But you still see a lot of people do it. It starts from, okay, let me visit weekend. Before you know, they'll drop the clothes, drop the shoes, and before you know, they're staying there for a month, And then most guys will actually say, I'm going to marry you, but they are not ready, and they don't even have what it takes, to get married. But because they're emotionally connected, they just stay. So there's a lot of cohabitation, when it comes to our country, Nigeria. And probably it's one of the reasons why they don't get married, because you're staying with this guy, you're cooking for him, you're washing his clothes, you're doing chores together and everything. So he's already reaping the benefit of the wifey benefits. All right. So he won't see any reason to push. you won't see any reason to go and marry. But when you stay off him, he truly loves you and he wants you to come in, he will do everything possible. If he truly wants to get married to you, he do everything possible to go pay the bride price and officially bring you in. But when you move your things in and you start doing the things that a wife is supposed to do, when the necessary things have not been done for you, like paying the bride price, seeing your parents and all that, then the guy will be, he won't be any more interested, in going ahead to pay. So you find out most times the person stays, and before you know, she's pregnant, and then she gives birth to baby number 1. Before you know, the guy says, I'll marry you. She gives birth to baby number 2. And at the end of the day, the guy goes to marry a girl whom you never ever believed he had anything with. All right. So it's one of the reasons why there's a decline in marriage actually. All right. So you see single mothers, when you ask them, they will tell you they were staying with the guy, or probably the guy promised them to marry them, and then they took him, and then the guy changes his mind. That's because the guy has reaped all the benefits of you being a wife. You gave it to him free. So he has reaped it, he has seen you in and out. There's nothing interesting anymore for him to go on with the wife. He'll be asking himself, like, if I pay the bride price, what else am I going to benefit from paying that bride price? So it's always good to stay on your own until the right things are done for you to move in.
Okay, great. Now you said something about people that do not have jobs. Now for those who don't have jobs, what would you advise them? Now I've seen a lot of people that will tell you their boyfriend doesn't have a job, but they really want to settle down with them. They don't have the finance and all of that. So what advice will you give to men who do not have a job, but they are actually very ready to settle down? And for a woman that is in that situation of meeting a man that has no job, but is really ready to settle down, either cohabiting or not cohabiting, or courtship or not courtship, but they are in a relationship, what advice will you give to these two parties?
Okay, thank you. For the guy, I think there's nobody that should be jobless, whether you're educated or not. Because when God created you, He created you with a lot of abilities. There are things you can do. Most times people just use these abilities. They just like doing something and they don't know how to go about it to make money from it. So there's nobody that should be idle actually. So if the guy does not have a paid, like a government job, probably he's not educated, or probably he's educated but he hasn't been favored enough to get a job, he should look right deep inside. What can I do? You just cannot be idle. Even those that are crippled, they still find a way to do something. I saw somebody that is crippled and he's mending shoes. So there's something you can do. You can go get a skill, train yourself to do something. There's something you love to do that you can improve on. All right. So I don't buy that idea where a guy will say, because I don't have a job, and then you're keeping somebody's daughter. You don't have a job. You're waiting for when you get a job. Some of them will say they've applied and they've not been called. Look deep inside of you. Look inside. Look within. There is something you can do. You can apply still. Because most people that are even doing this, probably sewing, weaving of hair and all that. If you get to the market, you see guys weaving hair. So there's something the person can do actually to raise money. There's something the person can do. So I don't buy that idea where you say there's no money. It means the person is either lazy or the person is not thinking hard enough, to find out what he can do. So nobody should actually be idle.
Anyways, that's a beautiful one. I totally agree with your idea, but on the other hand, I've seen some couples, where the man does not really have anything to do, and somehow maybe the woman too, her hands are not really strong financially. When you say supporters, friends, sisters, they came through, they got married, they settled down, and funny enough, they didn't want to just give birth immediately, but it was, I will not say it's unfortunate, it was not part of the plan, but they gave birth the first year of their marriage. Yet she didn't have so much. I'm being honest now, she didn't have so much, and the guy didn't even have anything to show forth. He was really struggling. But the beautiful thing about it is because probably the lady has seen that the man has a lot of prospects, and she went ahead to settle down with this guy, and in less than 2-3 years I can't even imagine where they are. In fact, if not because I know the story of the lady and how we met the guy and how they got married, because I was at the wedding, even the traditional, the white wedding. They didn't even do court wedding because they didn't want to go through all that process. I was there all through, and the story, a lot of people don't believe it. They were like, where did this guy get his money from? But I knew how it was for them then. You could count his shirt, you could count his trousers, you could count what she was wearing. In fact, she was in choir then, I was in choir then. So why she has a lot of things is because, trust choristers, you have different uniforms, so she can always rock them sometimes, and you know, some extra materials and all of that. So yes, I'm not saying ladies should do that. You have to be very careful. Probably she saw a lot that would come out from that guy, so that was why she had to settle down with him, and it became beautiful after 3 years. Now that's another thing. She was patient. It's not when you enter the marriage you feel like, okay, automatically there's going to be a magic and she has the money. It's not going to work like that. Marriage is not like that. Okay, anyways, we're still going to continue the conversation of marriage decline in Nigeria today, but let's take a break here. And this one is about controlling our ego. Be you a man, be you a woman. I know most of the times, most of the reasons relationship do not work, I will not say it's the woman, but it's because some men do not know when to at least, you know, drop the ego a little bit and just, you know, be the partner that you should be, and not try to be, I am a man. You understand? She's a woman too. There is a man behind a woman. You understand? Just the way there is a woman behind the successful man. So let's quickly look at this live tips on how we can control our ego, so we can be able to relate with everybody and be friends with everybody. You came to this world with nothing, and where we're going, we would go with nothing. So let's have this live tip. We'll be right back.
7 tips on controlling your ego. Handling your ego problems can be tough. It doesn't want you to be happy after all, but there are several ways using which overcoming ego is possible. Note, if you don't kill your ego before it gets enough power, it becomes your biggest roadblock to success and happiness. Few tips on how to let go of ego problems and free yourself from huge ego you're possessed with. Don't get all personal about it. The first thing you need to do is get less personal about things. Some of you take it too literal. Avoid doing something like that. You should learn to be at peace with yourself. Also know that people don't always mean what they say. Accept all your mistakes. A great way to work on all your ego problems is by accepting your mistakes. Do know that everyone at certain times goes wrong, and it takes very natural to commit a mistake. But being stubborn and selfish about it is not a good thing. It does not matter if you're a parent or a teacher or the boss. You should be humble enough to admit where you've gone wrong. Go and apologize to the person. It will feel light and stop your false ego from controlling your life. Stop being afraid of looking silly. One of the biggest mistakes egoistic people make is living in fear of looking silly. It is often associated with pride, since proud people are always so worried about making a fool out of themselves. And if you have been feeling like this for a while, then stop right away. Know that ego never dies. As you are all aware, the ego is a very smooth operator and would like you to think it is easy to let it go. There are people who are falling for these and make mistakes as well. Compliment others. It is a great thing to compliment others, plus it is an easy way to pretend that your ego problems doesn't exist just for a bit. Let your partner or friend know how beautiful they look today and how great that dress looks on them. You can also go a bit deeper and compliment them for having a good personality. See what makes them so special and look for positive attributes as well. Stop bragging. It is great to have very high self-esteem and feel great about all accomplishment, but bragging is just foolish and not needed. It is known for boosting ego. If you really have done something great in life, chances are people will come to know about it and will respect you all the more if they get to know how humble you are about it. The less you brag about yourself, the more humble and less egoistic you will come across. Be thankful for the little things you have. Be thankful for all the things that you have in life, even if it is something very simple. Once you begin to become a humble person, you will also give more way for your ego to melt. Always remember that you are much more powerful, strong, and beautiful than your high ego can ever be.
Okay, yes, we still have Telma in the building. That is very, very insightful. I always like to bring out this egoistic part, this controlling your ego thing, because it's very important, especially when we talk about marriage and relationship, and it has to do with the problems in marriage. So you might think you're seeing it the second time. It's very important that I have to always play this, not just even about marriage and relationship, at your workplace, your children, your spouse, your siblings. The ego comes in a way of relationship a whole lot, and friendship also. Okay, we still have Telma Eksang Utalo in the building. Hi, Telma.
Hello. Yeah.
Thank you for staying with us. Okay, because we talked about ego, because of the tips and when it comes to ego, how do you think men can actually control? Yes, we know they are the man. We know they like to be on top. We know they are logical. They are not that kind of so emotional. It's rare to see a man that is more emotional than probably being logical, or the breed of two. But the thing is, a lot of women have ego too. Everybody has ego, but I think women have been trained over time to be able to know how to control their ego, how to be submissive, how to calm down. I'm not talking about the ones that are extra, no. I'm talking about the ones that know this is the time for me to actually step down, apologize, talk to him, let him calm down. Then probably by evening or by next morning, you can talk about whatever he has done to you. At that point, you know that he's now like your baby. He's no more the roaring king or the roaring lion in the jungle. He's not like a baby that wants to, just stay on the mommy's chest. At that point, you can talk to him and he can apologize. Now, how do you think there are ways that men, as someone that is a counselor, certified counselor, how do you think men can actually control this ego? Because I know for a fact that this ego thing, in fact, it has destroyed a lot of marriages and relationships. I'm not saying there are no other things. We'll talk about other things. We'll talk about finance and all of that. But now let's come to the men aspect. How do you think they can actually manage? Let's use the word manage, not even entirely control, because it takes a while. By the time you're managing, before you know, you can take control of the emotions, but it starts with managing. How do you think they can manage first before it gets to the fact whereby they find out that they can actually control their ego whenever it wants to, take over them?
Okay, thank you very much. But first of all, I'll say that every man should be able to know who they are, because if you know exactly who you are, then the situation that arises in marriage where the man is egoistic and trying to oppress the woman will not be there. So this ego thing sometimes pops up when the man is trying to really have control over the woman, trying to make sure that he tells the woman, look, I'm the man here and this is how I want to do my things and all that. And then secondly, if the man has the fear of God, if he has the fear of God, he will be able to, that will help him to suppress sometimes when this ego thing is trying to be a barrier to their peace at home. Because most men actually have this ego thing where they don't let the woman make decisions, they don't carry the woman along financially, they don't even let the woman know what to do with their money. They work, sometimes the woman works too, but they spend their money differently. So an egoistic man, it will take a woman who actually probably is humble enough, or probably has the Holy Spirit to be able to cope with such a person. Because most times you even give suggestions and the man shuts down your suggestion and all that. So it will be good if all men could just know that when it comes to marriage, both of them are very important. So it's not like, I know the Bible says the man is the head, but the woman also, like they say, is the neck. So the ego of the man shouldn't, displace the woman or make the woman feel less of herself. You should be able to understand. There should be a balance, actually. There should be a balance to that ego thing. So sometimes when the ego is trying to, like, most men actually know that this one is my ego, even when they know the woman is right. So sometimes they turn around and apologize in different ways, buying gifts, Most men don't say, because of their ego, they don't actually say, I'm sorry, when they are wrong. So sometimes they go about buying gifts, or they turn it around as a funny joke or something, and then they go around it. They don't actually say, I'm sorry. So a man should be able to know when the ego is actually obstructing, or the ego is trying to bring issues in the marriage. All right. So
thank you very much. I love what you said. But I mean, in all what you said, I was looking at a worst case scenario. If actually some people can still salvage their marriage, especially when it has no domestic violence or no extreme cases. It's just the fact that both of them tend not to want to maybe understand themselves. Let me try to create a scenario. Okay. Let's say there are two couples who have issues, and maybe they've been having issues, like week there's an issue, but they sort it out maybe after a day, or sort it out that night, but it has been almost like every week or every 2-3 days, day in, day out, and it got to a point, maybe the man or the woman says, I'm no longer interested in this marriage. It has always been issues. Then started laying out complaints of, okay, this is why I'm not attracted to you anymore, because of the issues. This is why I probably don't send text messages to you, because of the issue. This is why we don't get intimate, because of this issue. It's better we just go our separate ways. There is no love, there is no that, there's no this. And let's even assume that maybe that statement is more like a repetition from the lady. Oh, no, let's even use the guy now. This is a woman's program, so let's be for the woman. Maybe it's the guy that's always been saying such things repeatedly. Maybe at a point the woman decides to, okay, I think it's high time I probably leave the marriage if this man keeps saying that. Now, as a counselor, do you think that is the draw for the both of them, or maybe at that point you feel that they are not yet matured, or they need a counselor? I don't know. What's your idea in such weird, wrong, extreme scenario?
All right, thank you. I think both of them need to be spoken to. They need to address what the issue is personally. The man separately, the woman separately. And then when you hear from both sides, you'll be able to draw the line. You'll be able to decipher what exactly the problem is. Because sometimes when couples are having issues, they don't tell you exactly what the problem is. They just tell you the things that they want you to hear. They don't tell you. Both of them will know exactly what the problem is. So sometimes, even as counselors, they come to you and they're not really telling you the truth. But you have to be, that's where psychology comes in now. You know that this woman, there's something she's hiding, and she doesn't really want it to look this bad. Or this man, there's something he's hiding, and he doesn't really want the wife to look this bad. So they just decide, you know what, instead of putting our dirty linen out there, let's just separate, But if they'll be truthful enough to open up, you'll be able to handle the situation. Because I believe by the Spirit of God, there's nothing too hard for God to handle when it comes to marriage, because God is actually the author of marriage. So if the man takes, most times the men don't want to take advice. They don't want to take advice. The woman can say, okay, I can do that, I can work with that, but the man will say no, he doesn't want to. Because most men actually come into marriage, they want to have a picture of the kind of woman. And so when all these challenges start, I bargain for, some of them, if a couple who gets married, the first, second, third year, even the fifth year of marriage, you are still knowing each other. So challenges will spring up. Some challenges are mild, minimal, some are very intense. So when it comes to couple counseling, sometimes you can separate them, you can talk to the man and then talk to the woman to find out what it is, and then you try to match this thing and provide a solution to what it is. But however, it is still up to them to accept, the solutions you put out there for them, because this is their life, and you cannot actually force anybody to do what you say or whatever solution you give. So just like you said, maturity also comes in. If the man is actually matured, when you're coming into a marriage, you're saying, look, I'm going to work with my partner to make sure that this works. And the woman is also coming in to say, I'm going to work with my partner. Then whether ego or life challenges, it cannot pull that marriage down, because both of you came in mature, ready enough to face life challenges to make sure that this marriage works, knowing that God is watching over that marriage and he is the author of that marriage. And you made vows in front of him to say, it's going to be till death do us part. So you don't just give up. You don't just give in to the challenges and pack your bags and leave. You have to work together to make sure that the marriage works. All right. So for the man, if the man has ego issues, I think he really needs to really go back to telling himself what exactly he entered that marriage for, because sometimes people just, I'm old enough to get married, and they go into marriage. They didn't work on themselves to make sure that they shed off some of the things that would deprive them of having peace in their marriage. They just go in the way they are, and then when it's not working, they try to find to back out of the marriage. So while you're in the marriage, the woman is working on herself, the man is also working on himself. You find out that there's some men that actually, they were very egoistic, by the time they entered the marriage and probably children started coming, they started noticing that, oh, look, I am too uptight when it comes to this. I'm too maybe straightforward. I think I have to mellow down here. I think I need to open up here. I think I need to accept some things just the way they are, right? So this whole marriage thing is from both sides, because two cannot work together except they agree. So it's shaking a little to the left and shaking a little to the right, but in the middle, we are okay. So, okay.
Persons who are not certified counselors, who are not even counselors, they will probably just tell you, you should just work it out. If you know you can't work it out, you just leave the marriage. I like what you said. And while you are talking, that made me appreciate the counselors, the therapists a whole lot, because they are really doing a lot of job. Because it's very true. Because sometimes when you meet counselors to talk, even if you want them to counsel you about something, we tend to hide a little bit of the truth and tell them what they need to hear, just to make us look good or make the other person look a little bit good. So you don't give us the advice of just leave, because we're probably even scared to leave. You understand? So I totally understand. So that you guys are doing a very great job. But very quickly, just to wrap up the show, this is the last part of it. In just 1 minute, please, 1 minute, because of our time. I want to ask, do you really think, because people have there's this notion, this school of thought that ladies tend to be more matured than a guy. Like, let's take, for example, you meet a 30-year-old girl and you meet a 30-year-old man. There's a high possibility and probability, like 90% of the time, that the ladies at 30 are way more mature than a guy at 30. A lady at 30 would match up with a guy at 33, 35, 37 upward. But a guy of 30 and a lady of 30 trying to come together is always a blow off. It's always like they're always fighting, especially when they know their age mates. I don't know why. And most of the times, the guy will always feel a bit kind of maybe almost intimidated, like, is it because we're the same age? But yeah, they still want to prove a man. I don't know if you understand where I'm driving at. Now I'm trying to drive at, do you actually think women should always go for people who are older than them? Yes, I know age does not come with maturity, but is it more advisable based on your certification of people you have seen, both men and women? Do you advise it's better you go for men who are more mature and, yes, definitely they have to understand you, and at the same time, finally, your advice to people that are in marriage and planning to get married? I don't know how you want to do this in 1 minute, but please try as much as possible to respond in 1 minute. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, some ladies are actually more matured when it comes to like relationship age-wise, but that's the reason why they say I don't know how guys do it, but I think uh, it's not all the guys anyway, because some guys are actually mature, but I want to believe that uh, so maybe scientifically, a girl at 18, 20 looks more mature, behaves more mature than a boy at 18, 20. I don't know. I think it's scientifically.
Yeah.
So when it comes to relationship, they'll say you should date someone, or marriage rather. You should marry somebody that is older than you. That's because, like I said, scientifically, if you marry somebody that is lower in age to you, that aspect of maturity is it will still come up, and sometimes the guys usually they'll say I'm older than you, or you're older than me. They usually bring it up to say you're older than me, because they just feel they should marry somebody that is younger, because they are the head in marriage. Just like the Bible says, the man is the head. So why would I bring somebody that is older than me and be the head over the person? So it's most comfortably when you marry somebody that is older than you, because it, like we all know, in marriage you have to respect this person. You have to call him. Sarah called Abraham Lord. So giving somebody that is not that is lower than you in age, that you are older than, calling the person Lord, being humble, and doing all the wifey duties, to this person. Sometimes most ladies tend to be like, I'm older now and all that. But so it's always good to marry somebody older. Although marrying somebody older doesn't really make. You can decide to marry somebody that is younger and still do what you need to do as a lady. But just
Okay.
in case,
Okay,
right,
I'm
you
sorry.
still
I'm
need to
sorry. I know
marry
you
some.
have a lot to say, but at this point, I have to interject because of
Okay,
our
so
time. I only have 1 minute to go.
advice to those who want to
Thank you
get
very
married.
much, Thelma
Make
Esang
sure.
Italo, for joining. Amazing input. Amazing input. Even though we did not go to the responsibility part, that is the financial part where we said we're going to talk about. But these ones are also very core issues that we need to talk about, so we do not have marriage decline in Nigeria. And of course, some people will say it's just an achievement, while some people will say it's an achievement. It depends on how they see what marriage is. But anyways, I just believe that whoever wants to step into marriage should definitely hold
Right.
it dear to their heart, because there are going to be
Yeah.
offspring, there are going to be people who be looking up to you during your own time of marriage, and especially your children. Is what they see you do, they
Yeah.
probably hold on to for their own future. Thank you very much, Thelma, for coming. I hope you enjoyed this section with us.
Yes, I did. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're very welcome. And that's a wrap today on the program. We can't take any more tips for today. But of course, up next is News on the Hour. And right after that is a Friday edition. You do not want to miss that. My name is Rose Blossom. I'll be joining you pretty soon. Just have a beautiful day for yourself. Bye for now.